Welcome to this episode. I got the legend of really Rexburg, the kid that stole all of our money in Banker. He definitely got some gas money off of me. No, I'm just kidding. But Colten, D1 golfer, and then also, man, just been so fun to watch you grow, dude. I went from seeing you on the golf course grinding to where you are now in Texas and just loving life, man.
Yeah, yeah, it's been great. It's everything in my life in the past has led me to where I'm at today. And I do miss the days of the golf course. I got my lunch paid for a fair amount of times. So always wheeling and dealing and trying to scrape for someone's dollar. But yeah, yeah, it's been good. So
Meg and I always laugh because I swear we lived on the golf course every afternoon and you were out there and ah,
yeah, no,
can't do that now with kids. I can tell you that right now.
yeah, yep. No, I did. I probably known you for what, 8 years now?
Mhm.
7. I mean, I was probably 15 or 16 when I first met you. And then, you were doing the photography thing. You did my senior pictures in high school. And, yeah, we did. We played a lot of golf together with a lot of good guys, a lot of great guys in Rexburg. So, yeah, we had a ton of fun. So,
Well, I have a ton of buddies that are into golf. They may live, but we'll forgive them for that because they're idiots, but it's fine. But kind of tell us the story of what got you into golf. I know probably your dad, but
yeah.
um,
Yeah. So, my dad, for those out there, he ran Teton Lakes, helped run Teton Lakes for, 20 years there in Rexburg. I grew up going to the golf course, going to work with him, watching him play. And that's kind of what kicked it off. And I would say when I was like 8 or 9 years old is when I kind of started getting a little bit more serious with it and, trying to actually get better and started playing in tournaments. And then, yeah, and then I played, all the way from 8 years old to all through high school and then made it into the college realm. And it's been fun to see where golf's taken me and the people that it's allowed me to meet. There's a lot of hard work along the way, and it's one of those games that you want to quit some days and you just keep plugging away though. And it's been very rewarding. So yeah, it's taken me on a great journey. So, yep.
no,
Yep.
that's cool. So right now, what's in the bag? What are you hitting driver wise?
I have a TSI 3.
My man.
I
Still
got,
staying Titleist rooted. I like it. Okay.
yep, always been tideless rooted. So when I was, let's see, when I was 15 or 16, I qualified for the US Junior Amateur. And I had kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, but I mainly had tideless, bogey wedges and like some AP2s. And I had a tideless junior sponsor rep engage me there. And so I've been on Tideless Junior or Tideless Junior exemption for the last, probably my sophomore year of high school all the way through college. I was with them. So I had to have 11 clubs in the bag. They sent me balls, gloves, shoes, hats, all this stuff. They took good care of me. So I will always probably bleed Tideless, but yeah. And
It's
then,
funny you talk about getting kind of free stuff, but I know for a fact how much you grinded.
oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I think when people pick up the game, right? So I'm itching my way back down. I'm at a 3.5 handicap right now, right? So
yeah,
I've basically done it to where I get lessons every week because that's how golf is. And it's
yeah,
all wedge game now, honestly, because I'm gonna have a bad shot. But
yep,
knowing where I saw you in that whole storyline that you're talking about, watching you putt for over an hour
yeah,
and not, hey, I'm not going to go out and play. I'm actually going to go work on this wedge shot and watching you work and grind on the range.
yep,
I think what's unique about golf, because I've played since I was young too, is never as good as you, but the lessons you learn about putting it in the dirt, but also visualizing and hoping for the dream, right? The dream shot, or having your mind in the clouds, or
yep,
hey, I'm going to hit this buttercut over this tree, land it here, and I'm going to hit that. You have to visualize it. It's daunting to me, how much that's impacted me in the business world.
yeah,
Like phenomenal, comparison. It's well, I was learning that when I was freaking 12 years old.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I remember those days at Teton, I'd go out, I'd be out there for 6, 7, 8 hours and wouldn't play a single hole. And it was, I'd go hit balls till my hands bled, and then I'd sit and putt until I couldn't stand up straight because my back hurt so bad. And, it's funny because like Rexburg in Southeast Idaho is kind of like this bubble of golf courses where it's hit it as far as you can and you hit it at every single flag. And, if you short side yourself, it doesn't matter. You can hit a flop nipper and, get up and down. And so when I got to college, wasn't that way anymore. I remember, I got to Logan Country Club, and it's, Logan Country Club's like 6,100 yards. I ended up shooting 58 in qualifying one day, like my senior year. Like the place is very gettable. But my first week there, I don't think I shot under par. And then we kicked off qualifying like 3 or 4 days into my freshman year. And I was like, holy crap, I don't even know how to play this place. And, I'm just getting killed. And this golf course isn't hard. Like you hit like 2 drivers on the front 9 and you can drive like 4 par 4s. So I had to learn quickly that it's not about just hitting it as far as you can off the tee and aiming at every single flag. And so I ended up qualifying for my first college event, and it was at Air Force, which the golf course is actually on the Air Force base in Colorado Springs. And it's like this super tree lined, long golf course. Greens are undulated. It's got the mountain break. Like, how you've played Highland? You have to play like the mountain break at Pocatello. Yeah. It's very much that way. So like it's really fast away and really slow into. And, I ended up shooting 76 my first day, and I was like, geez, I hit it really good, but I put myself in some spots where it was just like, dude, like, no. And so I played my next round, shot 74. And then my assistant coach was like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I'm going to follow you. So he followed me every single hole the last day, which would have been my 3rd round in college. And I was hitting a club extra to any front pin, and I was hitting a club less to any back pin. And unless I was inside 100 yards, I was never aiming at the flag. And that was really hard for me. Cause like, I'd have like pitching wedge from like 140 and I'm like licking my chops. He's like, nope, 20 feet left, or 20 feet right. Like you're hitting it to the fat side of the hole. And so, yeah, it was very interesting. And so I kind of had to change my whole mindset and everything, when I got to college. And after my freshman year, I had a decent freshman year, nothing special. I ended up going to Driggs and I caddied all summer long. And you've played Huntsman, right?
I played it once. I always played Teton Springs, yeah.
Okay, so Huntsman's is very linksy, as you remember. Very, very undulated greens. Ton of fun.
It's like a lot of the courses up here, actually.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so, very much like Circling Raven or the Idaho Club and stuff like that, where it's target golf, really.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so, as a caddy, I'm trying to get like a 15 or 18 handicapper around this place that's, number 2 in Idaho. It's perfect and everything. And that honestly, that helped me probably more in my college career than anything. And it's because it taught me how to think my way around a golf course. Like all those days growing up, I could hit it as good as anybody, that I played with in college. I could putt and chip it as good, but it was the whole mental side where I was just getting lapped by people. And that's because, I was hitting driver when I shouldn't, or, not hitting driver when I should, short par 4s and stuff. And so it was kind of interesting. I went from this really aggressive player to very conservative. And like my start of my sophomore year, I didn't make a double the whole year, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And my whole fall, I never 3-putted, because that was my thing is, all right, if I'm going to hit it further away from the flag, I got to get my lag putting really good. So like I would have a lot of rounds where I, had 16 pars, a birdie and a bogey and shot even. And like, it turned into very boring golf. And, the days that you'd get hot with the putter, you're going to make a couple 25 footers. Yep. You're going to have a lot of looks. It's going to be pretty stress-free. Maybe you pull one that you're aiming right and you pull it and it ends up going to a foot. Like, that's kind of what it turned into. Was I'm going to go for every par 5 and 2, unless it's, unless there's like, my rule was unless there's anything inside of 40 yards. So if there was a 40-yard gap by the green, whether that was water, like if there's water short, I wouldn't go for it. Or if there's bunkers or other stuff, that was kind of so I gave myself these parameters that I had to stay in between, to kind of manage.
Yeah, there's like a lot you're saying there that's like I can relate to, because coming up here to North Idaho, it's all like straight up through the Farragut. Like you're through the long pines, you're OB left and right.
Yeah.
Being a long hitter doesn't do you any good when you got a flipper that's over the sand bunker and you got to land it 2 feet and then like it's got to stop in 2 feet. Like, that's such a hard shot, even though you think you may be like this magician with a 62 degree. It's like, it's just not fair.
Yeah.
So the course up here that I play all the time, like I'm no joke hitting 4-iron off the tee.
Yep.
All the time, because I'm giving myself a full wedge, which then I can have an uphill putt, because like you've mentioned, when you get to serious golf on serious golf courses, it's all about how bad will my miss be. And life is that way, business is that way. Like you're going hard, all of a sudden the adrenaline kicks in, like we're both kind of in cells and you're like, oh, that commission check's gonna be freaking sick. But if you like latch onto that big drive and don't focus on the next shot, then all of a sudden you're in the crap. Right. And you're scrambling to get par and you're scrambling again. Like it's feast or famine, even on the golf course.
Right.
And
totally.
I'm the same way mentally. I grew up in Southeast Idaho, where it's like, dude, just knock the socks out of the drive and then just have, a pitching wedge in. And it's like,
yeah,
what the freak? And then I come up here to North Idaho and like the greens are rolling 12 on a slow day. A downhill putt's an automatic 3-putt, depending on where the pin's at. And you're not playing golfer holes. That's what I call Southeast Idaho. Like you're not just driving and just hitting onto this like little green that's just been piled up with dirt. You're actually having to like work your angles and like make sure you don't miss it in the bunker. And it's wild. It's just fun how golf has been that outlet for me, but also is the thing that I can never perfect.
Right.
Like I could go to the gym and work hard and try to get better. I can go, see a swing coach. I can go putt in my basement. My house now is wired for a simulator. So like I'm trying to get as much time as I possibly can. Right. But like bottom line, it comes down to something you said. You gave yourself like basically non-negotiables.
Correct.
I'm not going to hit that shot even though I have it.
Yep. And I would find myself in that situation a lot where, it's you're down 1 or 2 or you got something going or, whatever it was, you're playing with teammates or, now it's, you're playing for money or whatever. But yeah, I gave myself parameters and I stuck within those and, it never failed me, which was something that was always rewarding. I wasn't going to be the guy in college that went and shot, 63. And that's just because I didn't hit it at every flag. Guys are going to have days where they get on and whatnot, but it's been fun to give myself those parameters. And, now tied in with business, we have parameters that we stay within between. And it's because we've learned from failures in the past. And so, that's the whole reason for those parameters was to, manage your risk and, make sure you don't end up where you've been many times before. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of learning and, golf is something that like work, you always got to, in golf, it's very easy to stay on the steep side of the learning curve. So, I've always I had a college professor one time in college, he pulled up this learning curve. And so essentially it goes vertical in the beginning and then it kind of goes up and then flattens out. And he said in the beginning, when you start, it could be a sport or a new job or a new hobby or whatever. It's this very steep learning curve. And that's because you don't know anything about it. And then you kind of get to this area where you're comfortable and you're still learning, but you also know a lot more about it. And then he said, once you get past that, you're no longer learning anymore. And he said, that's the place you don't want to be. You always want to be learning and always improving. And you got to get yourself being comfortable when you're uncomfortable. So you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I've found myself in that situation more times than I could ever, imagine. And so, I mean, it's every day. Every day there's always something new on the golf course, with work, with life, whatever it is. And it's been fun. It's been a fun journey. So always learning.
Yeah, you're married now, living in Texas.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
wait until kids come, then you'll have 2 kids and 2 dogs, and then you're like, cool, I'm just gonna go start my own business, and I still want to play golf and I still want to buy shoes. I mean, I think that's what you said, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Like, you only grow if you go through hard things. Like, you only do that, like, I know we're relating golf a lot, but like, you can have a double bogey and still shoot under par. You can have like 3 stretches of holes where you just play like dog crap, right? Like, even this last Sunday, freaking Wyndham like hits it in the bunker and misses a ball, for crying out loud. Like, and he grinds and he scrambles to get a bogey instead of just blowing up mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so fun and been fun from afar watching you, is you've put in the work, but you've also been there and enjoyed the journey, right? Like, it's been cool to see you, like, wasn't around when you got married, but obviously your wife is rad because she married you, and then to like the few conversations I've had with you now that you're in Texas, like asking me about some like lending questions, it's like you've jumped into a world that you may have not have been comfortable with, but you were able to figure it out and go, hey, these are my strengths and these are not, but I know somebody, I know a who, and I'll talk to the who and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
And that's seriously admirable, because not a lot of us are humble enough to admit, I'm not your guy, but I got somebody.
Right. Yeah. And you hit it right on the head. So, I met my wife sophomore year. She played volleyball at Utah State. I've never seen somebody work so hard in a sport. It was crazy to see what they went through as a team versus our team and whatnot. And then, I actually gave him and his wife lessons at Tributary in Idaho. And, this is another thing too, is relationships. Like, you and I's relationship had built for so long that I had no problem calling you. I hadn't talked to you in probably 3 or 4 years. I'm like, I got a guy. Like, I can call him, talk to him. That's another thing that, I've realized through caddying and through life is, you never know when you're going to need somebody for help. And the more people you have there, the easier life gets. And like you said, you have to be humble enough and have enough humility to reach out to anybody at any time. And that's just, there might be something that you're good at, but somebody's 10 times better than you are at it. So why not use them, and why not start building relationships like that now? So anyway, it's kind of funny story back to, I'd met Wayne and Misty, gave them golf lessons, was with them for like an hour. They left and went and got on the plane, came back to Texas. I kind of told them that, at that point, I was planning on going back to college for a 5th year, doing a finance degree. Like a week later, that all changed. My wife was like, hey, I want to go do real estate with my mom, and it's now or never. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So I called my coach. I'm like, Coach, not coming back. Wife's got a killer opportunity. We're going to take it. We're going to run. And that was probably one of the hardest things for me was, giving up playing college golf. 1, it was so much fun. And 2, moving, 1,500 miles away from my family to a state I've never been to. It was crazy, and it was definitely uncomfortable, but, I love it now. I love it down here and everything. And so I'd met Wayne like a month after that first lesson, and gave him another lesson. And that was probably like middle of August. And then he was like, well, you're moving to Dallas. If you ever need anything or anyone, or maybe I can make a connection for you, like, here's my email, here's my LinkedIn, follow me. I'm like, all right, great. Thank you. Never thought anything of it. Month and a half goes by. I'm down here looking for a job, having interviews, this and that. And I get a message on my phone one night from Wayne. It's like, hey, I don't know if you got married. I don't know if you moved to Texas. But if you did, I might have something you're interested in. I'm like, absolutely. And so that was a Friday night. I immediately called him. It was like 10:30 at night. I called him. I'm like, hey, Wayne, it's Colten. How's it going? He's like, come down to my office on Monday. I'm like, okay. So I went down Monday. We talked for like 2 or 3 hours. And it went great, and he was like, I'm just going to tell you right now, working for me is hard. I'm not a great teacher. So I want you to talk to my wife. She's going to tell you everything that sucks about working with me. And then you can decide if this is something you want to do. I'm like, okay. So
That's
Misty
phenomenal, dude.
yeah,
That
so
just goes to show you that he's a boss in the sense that, like, I mean, every strong, wealthy, successful person straight up goes, hey, I'm horrible at this, but my wife is phenomenal.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Yeah. So, like, no joke, Misty calls me the next day and she's like, hey, how's it going? Misty's amazing, amazing lady. And she's like, well, here's the list. And she went on for like 15, 20 minutes about stuff. And I'm just like, at the end of the call, she's like, does any of that scare you? I'm like, honestly, no. Like, I'm game for it all. And so, I got that was a Tuesday. She hired me right there and said, can you be in the office tomorrow? I'm like, sure. So I started Wednesday. The next day, I show up in this conference room and it's Wayne sitting at the table and I have a computer and a work phone and like all this stuff sitting here and it's all still in boxes. And he's like, fired up, let's get going. I'm like, okay. And, completely thrown in the deep end at first. And, I was calling people and trying to figure stuff out. And I had no idea what I was doing, my first couple, weeks. But like you said, I was always, willing to reach out for somebody and ask for help. And that's because, through my life, I'd built those relationships with people and stayed on good terms. And, in the grand scheme of things, life is built on relationships. And it's, like I said, it just makes things so much easier when you have good people in your corner that you can go through for help. So yeah, that's kind of the journey the last couple of years. So it's been a crazy one, but it's been good. So
I think it's cool because we have similar stories of really the golf course and the community of the golf course. Like, I have blown up, I feel like, my business because I'm on the golf course. I'm not there all the time, but you're associated with usually business owners or people that are going to work hard so that they can play golf. And I remember being from Pocatello, Idaho, making it to the money game at noon every day. I'd mow all my lawns so that I could make it there at noon, put in my $10 and see if I could get a skin, right?
right.
And like, you think about the principles that you learned back then or the people you're around. I mean, Rexburg is one of the closest knit, like, Friday noon games I've ever been involved in my whole entire life. You could show up there still today and they're probably still the same flipping dudes yelling triple on a par 3, right? And they took you in, right? Just like almost like they're one of your boys or something to that effect. And I think that's what's unique is now the tables have turned where you and I are kind of those people.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm on the range, like, and then I see somebody like learning golf, like I'm willing to give them a tip or trick. And then the next thing you know, you never know what they're going to do for a living or how you could impact them or they could impact you.
Right.
And I think the game of golf is just so cool that way. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know where I'd be without golf.
Right. Yeah.
And
totally.
It's just phenomenal. And it's phenomenal to lose and fail because I can tell you stories of, I mean, I still remember the Jerome Invitational junior year. I'm 2 down. It starts snowing. There's scouts there looking, and I blow up just because I fell apart. And like, that's still a memory that I have, but like that's something I needed back then in order to become who I am today. And that's what's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to
Yeah.
hear your story where caddying, giving lessons, and then the next thing you know, a door opens and you plowed through that door. You didn't give up. Like that's phenomenal, man.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, where, I remember sitting with Wayne, in that interview, and he's like, where do you think you're going to be the most effective? And I kind of looked at him with a smile and I said, honestly, on a golf course, playing with whoever I need to be playing with. Like, if we have bankers, if we have, whoever it is, insurance guys, development guys, whoever it is, like, there's something about a golf course where people open up. You get 4 hours of their undivided attention, and you're not, that's the one thing that I learned caddying is, my first few caddy loops, and I'm caddying for people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, sometimes billions and billions of dollars. And at the end of the day, they're just guys, like, they're just fun and whatnot. But it was always, I'd always like try and pry at first, like, hey, what do you do for a living? Like, this and that. And it kind of like almost put a sour taste in their mouth. I'm not sour, but it's like, that's the last thing they want to do is talk about work. And so I started kind of transitioning to, we just talk about random stuff, family or whatever it was, where they're from, don't bring up anything work related. And that's when I started seeing my relationships with those people really take off because you're getting to know them on a personal level. It's not this superficial, business, whatever. And so,
It's the
but
same thing
now,
with mortgages, honestly. So
yeah,
doing a mortgage call every single day, right? Like
yeah,
I jokingly say I'm the TSA of going on a flight. I'm going to pat you down. But
hmm,
like the reality is do you want to know the TSA agent or do you want him just to pat you down, right? Like, and I
right,
have to ask questions like, what brought you to Texas? Like, and if they bring up dogs or, kids or something, like you have to talk about those similarities because reality is yeah, you're trying to get to know them, but like you have to give first. And I think in
totally,
the sales process, like that's huge. Definitely on the golf course because almost everybody there, like, it's funny, you can tell a lot about someone. I laugh about shoes or their bag or their clubs, right? Like
yep,
when I see a guy with like a full PXG set, like rolling out and he's wearing like, I don't know, FootJoy polo and like you just know that like the dude's been golfing for a while or he has some cabbage, right?
yep,
And the first thing you're not going to be is like, so what do you drive? you know,
right, yeah,
you gotta
exactly,
gotta
yeah,
be like, hey, how do you like that driver? Do you like that shaft? And then you kind of like
yep,
get a vibe and like you kind of go about it that way. And like by a hole 7 or 8, they're like, yeah, this is. They'll actually devote like the whole rest of the round telling you their story.
totally.
And you and I have learned that art, and I think it's just by golf. Like,
Yeah. Yep. I have a perfect example from like just Saturday.
yeah,
So I played in like a Stableford event Saturday here at Gentle Creek, and um, my partner was a guy, JP Morgan. He was an offensive lineman at Syracuse and now works for JP Morgan here in Frisco. And so we got teamed up and we go out to hole 18 and we're sitting there on the tee box waiting for our, playing partners to come. And they roll up and it's these two dudes. I'm like, hey, how's it going? The normal like, introduction. And we go on and, we're talking the whole time, like getting to know each other. But like, I had no idea who these other two guys were. So like hole 5 or 6 comes around and we're like past the point of like, do you have kids? Are you from here? Like, kind of all that underlying stuff where it's like, and I'm like, so, Tori, what do you do for a living? He's like, I played baseball for a little while. And I'm like, oh, okay, played baseball. Like, what's he talking about? So I get in the cart and I Google this guy and his name's Torrey Hunter. He has 9 golden gloves, considered the best center. Like the very first headline that pops up on Google was Torrey Hunter considered the best center fielder of the 2000s. And I'm like, he's played for all these teams and whatnot. And the next one's 171 million in career earnings. And I'm like, this guy's big time. Like, and I had no idea who he was, but he was so fun, and that's honestly because we weren't treating him any different. Like, if somebody that lived and breathed baseball saw him show up on the tee, like they would have fell over and been like, "Can I get a picture?" Like, please, and it's funny how you treat people like that way, and your relationship with them is just so much better. And so,
Agreed.
now
Yeah.
after we were playing, he's like, dude, let's get out and play this week. Well, let's play again or whatever. Just a super, super great guy. And I was actually talking to my dad about this. I'm like, I'm so glad that I didn't know who he was at first because, I probably would have led with, hey, I saw this video of you, robbing Barry Bonds of a home run in the All-Star game or whatever. Like, tell me about that. Like, he doesn't want to talk about, he's out here playing golf, wanting to enjoy things. Like, he don't want to talk about that. So, and he would now, like the next time I can see him, I can like bring that up. And that's because we've kind of already built that relationship there and friendship. So, no, I mean, it's something that I've always practiced and had to always practice caddying and still today. And I know you do, is getting to meet people and talk to people. And, once you get it figured out, people become comfortable with you in a snap of a finger. And that's a gift. Like, it's honestly a skill. And it's something that everybody should, try and work on, because you just never, ever know who you're going to run into, who you're going to meet. It's amazing. Life's fun and it's awesome. So,
Nah, that's cool. Dude, I've had such a killer time rocking this with you. It's been fun. I bet we could go on for hours about golf.
totally.
I could talk about how hole 15 just ate my lunch every time I played you and Steven Davis.
Yeah.
And now I play that hole and I don't even go over the trees. Just say
Yep.
screw it, I'm laying up. So many good memories with you, man. I definitely need to get down to Texas because I got some buddies in software sales down there. They're in the Dallas area and
Yeah.
need to get down there and play with you. But dude, thanks again for joining me. And
Yes.
wow, some cool lessons to be had here. So until next week, my friends, Colten Cordingley, how can people follow you, reach out to you? Obviously, they may want some golf lessons from you. I'm just kidding.
No,
I legit have you still saved in my phone as Colton, the kid that takes my money.
that's great. That's great. Well, you need to get down here so we can fix that. So,
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Thanks, man. Appreciate
yeah,
it.
you got it for sure.
Well, cool, bro. I think I got some solid content there, so I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I appreciate you having me on and getting to talk, and it's good catching up with you. And it's
Yeah,
great seeing your daughters grow up. You have 2 daughters now, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Holland's so
Holland,
you and
Holland and Noel. Holland is wild, man.
yeah.
Like, I probably need to film her more because, dude, she's freaking crazy.
Well, I follow you and Meg on Instagram or whatever. You guys are always posting pictures or videos, and I told my wife I was doing this yesterday, and she's like, "Well," like I was like, "Here, I'll show you who Tyler is." And so we started going through, and Bailey was watching all the videos of Holland. She's just cracking up, loving it. So it's
Oh,
been like
dude.
cool to see growing up.
Last Monday, I just had like a crazy rough day. Like, couldn't control anything. Work was like going sideways. It was like 5 o'clock, and I was just like toast. Like, I was done.
Yeah.
And I'm working from home right now, so I came out of the office, and little Holland goes, "Hey, Dad, should we go to the golf course? Because I want a candy bar." I'm like, you have no idea how bad I need to go to the golf course right now. Just hit like a bucket of balls. And she went out there and like she had a Hershey's candy bar. It was like 90 degrees, melted all over her, just caked in like chocolate.
Well,
But
that's funny.
I don't know, man. Kids are freaking phenomenal. They're
That's
so fun.
awesome.
They're a lot of work though.
Yeah. That's we so we just bought a house in like January, and so now kind of kids are like, that's going to be the next big thing. And
Take your time, brother.
it's, and that's my, like, I'm so busy, and my wife is honestly, I mean, she's crazy busy. And so, like, we can't do kids right now. We need a couple years, but we're both pretty anxious and ready, and, we want to have kids. But, yeah, we need a couple years of kind of establish ourselves in our career a little bit more. And, because once you get a little bit further in, you can become a little bit more efficient in
Yep.
what you do and get things done quicker or not have to, go through so many hoops to get an answer.
Yep.
So
No,
anyway,
I need to come down there because I got solar buddies down there too, but honestly, the price point for investment properties make more sense. And I just got licensed down there
did you?
in Texas. Yeah. So
Cool.
I actually got a loan in a couple months going down there. But
Cool. Well,
yeah, man.
we need to get you in my wife's contact for lenders. They've
Yeah.
got like two that they work with right now. And yeah, that'd be great to add you in there because one of them is like really good. He's really thorough and stuff. And then the other one, they kind of send like the higher price point client to, but they have a hard time with him because he's like, his communication's just not like great, or he's a little
Mm-hmm.
dry and kind of like, how it is buying a house. Like it's stressful. It's people's, for
Yeah.
95% of people, it's the biggest purchase they'll make in their life. And so, they get emotional about it. And when you don't have someone that's like there and like has been through it and, can like help you through it emotionally more than anything. So yeah, that'd be awesome to get you on with them. So, and they do, I don't know, they did like just shy of 40 million last year between her and her mom. So,
Wow.
they move a fair amount of stuff through.
No, that's
Um,
cool.
so yeah, I'm going to for sure, I have your contact now in your email or whatnot. I'll forward you over to my wife and make the introduction and we'll get you on that contact list.
Yeah, I'm
So,
down. I mean, I'm growing. I'm doing a lot of things I wasn't able to do before.
right.
So it's
Did the
I'm
bank kind of have you strapped in a way like now that because you're a mortgage broker now, right? And you're under full, so yeah, you have more flexibility and you can actually shop the market rather than having to.
I can shop the market. We have relationships with like United Wholesale, like the largest wholesaler in
Hmm.
mortgages. I can build my brand. I don't have to be like their brand and I don't have to do it their way. So like sending videos out, I mean, you can see that I got a studio pretty much as my desk,
Right,
so like when I send out a loan estimate, I'm going through every line by line and it saves me a 20-minute call when I can do it in 2 minutes with a video.
right.
And just being more efficient. I mean, right now, being real with you, my growing pains are building my team because I'm trying to, I mean, the 20/80 rule where 20% of your business makes up 80% of your revenue. Reality is I need 2 hours of me just calling and making sales in order to
Mm.
grow. And how do I develop it to where I put it on the conveyor belt and like it's seamless, but it's still the Tyler experience, right? So
Right.
that's what I've been focused on. And I'm playing a lot of long-term games with like YouTube and social media because you and I are the next home buyers for the next 5 years.
Right.
So yeah, been doing a
Yep.
lot of that.
Yeah.
Just
No,
going hard, man.
yeah.
One day it's gonna pan out,
No, that's, Bailey and Christine are always talking about it too. As agents and brokers, you're in a similar ball game here with people. And, Christine's always talking. She's like, oh, this clientele just keeps getting younger, younger, younger. And, they're just, my generation is just a different breed of people. And
Don't answer
that's
the phone. They'll
totally,
read
they'd
they'll
rather
watch a
text.
video,
Yeah.
they'll look at the email. So like how do you make sure that you're getting them the knowledge and education that they need,
Yep.
but getting them there because you have to touch them almost 7 times more than my dad, right? He picks
Right.
up the phone, you have like a 30-minute conversation. Oh, I love him. Like he's so good. Picks up the phone
Yep.
again, he'll call you, right? Our
Yep.
generation, yeah, I'll call you back.
Right. When, yeah. No, and you're totally right. Like Bailey texts, and like I would say I'm old school for as young as I am because like Bailey texts everybody, and I'm like, just call them. And she's
Yeah.
like, you don't want to be called. And I'm like, you can explain this in 2 minutes, and they're going to ask you 12 questions back in text to answer the one you
Drives me
just
nuts,
sent.
dude.
And so, like, just call them. It'll be a 2 minute conversation. You can answer questions to be done. She's like, I would love to, but they won't answer the phone. Like, they're not going to answer. And I'm
Have
just,
her start using video.
it's amazing that that is what it's. And so that's the great thing about social media and YouTube is like my generation can see you and see your personality and get to know you that way. But they don't have to talk to you because they don't want to talk to you because they're scared of you or whatever it is. And it's amazing. I think you're headed down the perfect track.
I'm
And
just trying to be one of the first ones in. That's it. Because Idaho's a little old on stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
no.
So, well, no, have you been looking at some investment stuff down here at all or anything?
Yeah, I'm getting to the point now where we're getting back to where I want to be. Now it's like, I mean, reality is I want somewhere while the kids are young that we could just dip off for a 5-day weekend
Hmm.
and it's warm in the winter because I don't do anything other than golf now. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't, skiing and snowboarding's like, cool, whatever. But I'd rather golf. So,
Yeah.
really trying to get passive income. I want some doors. I think that's like my whole drive for the next 4 to 5 years is just I've established a beautiful home and community and all that. Like we're good, we're set. And now it's just like, how do I go create passive income so
Right.
the next recession doesn't hurt as much as this one, right? Or I don't have to grind like I am now
Right.
because it is
Totally.
exhausting right now in the mortgage space.
I can only imagine.
And if
I
anybody
can't,
tells you it's not, it's like, yeah, whatever, dude. Like I'm still closing deals, so like, dang, every deal is a rough one. Like it's a
I'm
lot of
having
work.
to work really hard for. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been interesting here because Bailey was crazy pretty much all last summer through the beginning of fall, and then it slowed down a fair amount. And then we kind of got through, like when we bought our house, they hadn't, like, she closed on our house, did ours, and that was like the one transaction they had in like the last 2 months or in 2 months or whatever. And so there was kind of that lull, which there always is around the holidays. And then it kind of picked back up again. And now it's still, not like it was, but I would say that like North Texas, like Frisco, Prosper, McKinney is like almost recession protected because there's so much growth. It's all new, it's all clean. The schools are great, like everything about it. And so they've stayed way more busy than like agents like Fort Worth, South Dallas, even into parts of Dallas. Um, so it's been good that way that they're kind of in the, northern Collin County or whatever. But Universal Studios is going like 2 miles from my house. So you need you like an Airbnb up here. That's
Seriously.
on the
Well,
hunt.
be on the lookout for me because your price points are a lot cheaper than freaking Coeur d'Alene.
Yeah. Because I would love to get like I've been on this like duplex kick. I'm like,
Oh
I
yeah.
want a duplex because it's two doors on one house. The one door thing, like being a landlord, like, I'm just like, but it's worth it in the end, but you deal with a lot of headache. Like if you could get a duplex and kind of pimp it out and Airbnb it, and then if people want, they can book them both at the same time. Like if you have two families or two couples or whatever, it's separate. You can have your family time or whatnot. That's what I think, next to this Universal, because Frisco is going to blow up. Like you've got the Star where the Cowboys practice like 10 minutes from my house, Universal Studios, Disney. There's actually talk that Disney is going to come to North Texas, which is crazy. So it could turn into like this great Airbnb play. And
What are
then,
duplexes down there? Like 450?
um, depending kind of where, I'm gonna say like 550 to 650.
Not horrible, honestly.
So no, not too bad at all.
You link me up with your wife and have her start sending me stuff.
Okay, I can have her set you like a portal.
Yeah, I think that
And
might
just
be good because then I can kind of see what's actually on the MLS instead of like
right,
Zillow.
realtor, what Zillow? Yeah,
But yeah, that's my. I want to get. I'm hoping within a year I'll get to a point where I can like do an investment property every 6 months.
yeah,
And so that's probably why I'll have to like pick your brain and your wife's brain of like, hey, what's going on in Texas? Because price points up here like start at 400,000 for like a 3-2,
Yeah,
and it's just like it's hard to cash flow unless rates come down. But
right. See, and
I don't
that's
know.
like there's parts around out like so I got a newsletter the other day, and Prosper where we're at, year over year, the median home price in Prosper is 835 right now, which is pretty high. Um, in like Collin County, all of Collin County, which is kind of North Dallas, the median home price is like 575. So like it's definitely a little more expensive than, but like if you can catch the just on the outskirts of like, okay, this would be a good investment property, but not necessarily, I don't know. It's hard down here because school district drives everything. And like you want the appreciation of the good school district, but like you're going to pay for it, like almost pay to where it's like, it's hard to make it make sense. Like I've modeled a few of them out and I'm like, okay, essentially it covers itself. And then I take 20% for maintenance or whatever. And who knows, a month that they didn't
Right.
pay. Like you kind of run those
What
parameters. And
calculator are you using?
one I built, I
Serious?
just built a pro forma. Yeah. And just like I plug it in and it's kind of kicks out my own model, whatever. You want it?
We might have to compare because I use like bigger pockets, and then I got another guy's, and then I got Chandler Smith's. Then I kind of like play with all three of them.
Do you? Okay. Yeah. So I have one that, I don't know. I have a couple of them that I kind of just play with.
We might have to do another call just going through freaking calculators, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody asks me about that crap.
Dude, there's nothing I enjoy more than like sitting down and opening up a blank Excel sheet and modeling like a business from start to finish. Like it'll take me 6-7 hours to like do everything and like really think through and whatnot, but it's so much fun. And I'm always way conservative. So like if I can get something to work on Excel,
Have you thought about like blasting out your own like brand?
a little bit. I mean, like I've done a little bit of stuff for people on the side. Like
No,
they're
but
like,
like what if you did, hey, this is like it's crazy. It's like golfing and then being tied to like how to make wealth or financial independence is like such a huge topic right now. So like my video guy actually, I like you've seen most of my videos.
mm-hmm,
He's coming to film and I'm kind of switching it up. Like I'm gonna walk through a neighborhood and be like, you want to know why you can't afford this house? And then, kind of that kind of thing. And like
yeah,
I want to get more into let's break down this is what it looks like if I were to buy this house with these numbers,
mm-hmm,
because there's just a new age of like investors like us that want to learn from people like us that are going through the infant stages of building wealth, not the
right,
Brandon Turners that have like turned into 400 doors, right? Like they're like, oh cool, I'll never achieve that, but like here's how I bought my first investment property. I actually did it with Colton down in Texas, and we went halvesies, and
right,
we basically set it up with a LLC and a K1, and whatever it gets, we kick back in, or like
yep,
talking through that stuff, and yeah,
yep.
I don't know, it's cool, man. But
No,
we need to keep chatting.
no, let's do it for sure. Let's do it for sure. That would be fun. So yeah, I mean, that's something I enjoy, like, because I definitely wasn't the kid through high school and college that was like flashy in any way. Like, I made pretty good money caddying in the summers. Like, for a college kid, like, I could go make, 25 or 30 grand in a
Yeah,
summer, which was pretty good. And, um, like, my whole rule was I'm gonna make what I can in the summer, and then I'm gonna take $5,000 to college. So I'd move everything out with my dad, who's in the wealth management. So I moved everything but $5,000 in my account, and that's what I had to live on for a year at college. It was 5 grand. And so, I came out of college and I'm like miles ahead. And so, like kids that are
I still need to
18,
learn that, bro, because like the problem being commissioned is like you're just like I'll just go work harder. And like
right?
I
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I still have like a set like type budget ish,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Like hey, we got to do this, but like it is such an easy way to get fallen into a pit with
Right.
finances because you can get it so right now, and like you're talking about discipline, right? And
Totally.
totally
Like,
goes back to like you learned that on the freaking putting green. Like if I don't sit here and putt this over and over and over and over and over and
right.
over and over and over, I will not make this putt when it actually matters.
Right. Yep. And that's like,
Crazy.
it's all crazy. But I love financial planning too. Like I love it. Like I love, like if I could, so
Dude, you should
do you
go
know,
hard on YouTube, man.
Dave Ramsey? You've heard of Dave Ramsey,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So there's a lot of things I don't agree with in Dave Ramsey.
Same.
Like
But there's a lot of things that I'm
there's a
like,
lot
that's
of
pretty
things
good.
that I love that I'm like, okay, like his baby steps, like if you just follow
Phenomenal.
those for like the most average person, if they would do that, it would completely change the
Yep.
trajectory of their life. And that's where, like, I was the kid in high school that would go to class in the morning with Dave Ramsey playing rather than like Lil Wayne or whatever else was on. Like that's who I was, and it's
That's why we're friends, man.
yeah, I just eat that up.
Get
But
an audiobook instead of freaking
yeah,
garbage, you know?
yep. What books are you reading right now?
Starting with Wise, I'm almost done with that audio. I'm trying to do 2 audiobooks a month now, so it's pretty good. But I gotta jump because this Colton just got to my house. The other Colton.
Okay.
I'll email you back
Okay. Email me back.
what I'm reading and what I'm listening to.
Okay. Perfect. All right.
All right,
Thank
bro.
you. We'll see
See
ya.
you, bud. Bye.